Fantastic. All right, lovely ladies, we're just going to start standing up to wake up the body. So I ask you to take your feet and lift your toes and spread your toes as wide as you possibly can, and then let your feet settle into the ground so it feels as if you have wonderful contact through both the front and the back of your feet. And you can really feel the four corners of the feet as you kind of press one foot and then the other into the ground. Let the knees be a little bit soft, and then lengthen up out of the waist, dropping the base of the rib cage, and lift your arms right up, if you're lucky enough to be outside, right up towards the sky, otherwise towards the ceiling. Push down through your feet, down and out, lift up through those fingers, shoulder blades are dropping down your back, lift through the heart center, and eye gaze lifting upwards. I'm just going to mute you there, Michelle, for the moment. Great. Okay, nice big stretching lift. And right. Oh, almost like a palm tree. You're stretching right up and then taking the hands behind you. Big windmilling action, lubricating those shoulder joints. And you can let the torso kind of twist a little bit. Shoulders are nice and relaxed. Fabulous. Take your feet a little bit wider apart. Roll the shoulders back. Feel a dropping sensation through the base of the shoulder blades. Draw the chin back as if you have a string from the ridge of your head pulling you right upwards, and then start to create that long ocean breath. So pulling the breath in through the back of the nostrils, let the breath come down and then out underneath the armpits and then up, and exhaling, base of the rib cage slightly in so the breath just pulls out of you. So taking a few breaths here, you can use your arms just to help that breath to drop and then pull out underneath the armpits. And it's like an accordion. Your diaphragm is working really hard to pull the breath right down to the bottom of your lungs, right out underneath the armpits. And then as you exhale, getting that squeezing sensation. Hang on, I'm just going to mute you two, is hear the kids in the background. Yeah, that's it. Beautiful. Few more of these just to get into the rhythm of your breath, and remembering that the breath, that long, smooth breath, is our anchor throughout the practice. It's such a wonderful practice because it teaches us to be in that anchoring breath, even when the body and the mind are being stressed. And we can take this off the mat to, in our everyday life, is if you're working in the hospital and you are having to deal with a whole lot of things at the same time, being anchored in your breath can just help to feel settled and to feel in control, even if externally things are happening which could be seemingly a little bit out of control. Good. Now stay with the breath and start to swing the arms around the body. Keep the knees slightly bent and stretch out through the fingers. So we create a bit of a dynamic drag through the hands, just waking up the central nervous system as we get that little twist into the spine, getting the blood flow around the body and creating even deeper breath. So as we pull the breath into the lungs and press the breath out, and then we'll do a couple of those discus throwing movements. So as we inhale, we stretch the whole body, and as we exhale, drop down. Stretch the whole body up, exhaling down. Point your toes, stretch your fingertips, and as we come down to the next few, exhale out of your mouth. So it's a sigh out. And you feel the lower jaw just starting to unwind away from the upper jaw. Good. And then come and just give your upper back a little pat. So we take the twist into the thoracic spine, a little bit more through the upper back, all the way into those shoulders, and then drop down into your goddess stance, heavy through the heels. Toes are light and behind us. Take a deep breath in to press the floor away. Exhale down. Waking up. Big breath in. Feel the breath pulling up from your hips right up to the underside of those arms. so that we feel the intercostal muscles spreading, stretching between the ribs. And then focus on the back of your lungs, feel that breath pulling up through the back of the lungs. And then roll up through the front. So you lift your heart, breathing in deeply. Wonderful. Coming down for our lateral stretch, pressing up and over. Press down deeply through your left heel. And then back again. Up and over, pressing deeply through the right heel. And down. Stretch all the way to your toes. So we lengthen the whole side of the body. And down. And the other way. Beautiful. And down. Coming into the center. And just taking some big rotations through the hips. If you have your hands just on the hip bones, you lift and drop, kind of a figure of 8 with the pelvis. Good. And other direction, taking the arms out to the side, drop the base of the shoulder blades down, stretch out through the fingertips, and slightly pull back through the fingers. So we stretch right through this heart meridian, through the inside of the arms, into the heart center. Very good. Big circles. Nice. Taking the hands down, heel toe, a bit closer with your feet. Coming up onto your left toes here, weight is taken into the right leg. And pivoting through the hip joint here. So rather than just flinging your knee around, feel the pelvis mobilizing through the hip joint as you do a kind of Elvis twist. So there's big rotator muscles around the hip joint. We want to get a little bit of blood flow through there. Very nice. We're also mobilizing through the central part of the body, the torso, good for toning the waist. And then other side. A little bit of a twist, twist and shout. Good as gold. Getting that twist, making sure it comes from the hip joint here, mobilizing here, as opposed to just the knee. And then keep the hip internally rotated for a moment, and then release. Give your legs a little shake. Take your fingertips on the wall. So hopefully you've got a bit of wall space nearby. Walk yourself back into your extension, your tabletop position. If knees need to be bent, absolutely fine. We're looking to have a straight spine though, and you draw the base of the rib cage back towards your spine, and you roll your shoulders down away from your ears. If we've got shoulder congestion, we can simply take the crown of the head into the wall and draw our arms back instead so that the back muscles are in extension here. So if we feel we've got that orange between our shoulders and we're just kind of holding it there, when we're extended like so, even though we're wrapping, so we're bringing, this is called serratus anterior, this bit underneath the arms, and even though we're drawing this down, we still feel like there's a little bit of movement between the shoulder blades. If we had an orange there, we're just kind of holding the orange between the shoulders. And then push down and slightly out with your feet. So the inner arches of your feet are lifted. We've got that slight kind of vacuuming upwards through the soles of the feet. And then try pressing down through the heels and lifting up those sitting bones just a tiny bit so we get those hamstrings to wake up this morning. And you won't want to bend one knee and then the other, just like when we're in downward facing dog and we walk the dog, same kind of thing, getting some movement through the back of the legs. Very good. Walk the fingertips up and step your left foot forward. Now to start off with, take your hands into the wall, arms stay straight, push the wall away as you push your heel down towards the ground. And you start to bend into the front knee, but we've got no pressure through that front knee. All the action is happening through your calf and a bit into the Achilles. And I want you to start to draw tummy button in towards spine so you can feel the squeeze, the action through your arms, through your chest, through your torso, as well as the stretch into your calf. Base of the shoulder blades dropping down away from your ears. We want to get right into the belly of the calf muscle there so that we can open up, get that nice vascular flow through the legs. Open up the back of the legs. Good. Now come up onto your back toes and shuffle your toes back a little bit further. So we come into a lunge now. As we push the back heel away from us, the front knee draws in towards the wall. And now we're stretching the front of the leg into the quads here and into the hip flexors. Now try not to overarch your back instead drop the base of the rib cage down. We've still got the torso switched on, the corsetry switched on. And you might find that you can walk your right fingers up the wall and then up towards the ceiling and drop the shoulder away from the ears. So we're creating now a long line of stretch all the way up through the front line of the body. Absolute opposite of sitting. Front knee directly on top of front heel. Don't let it go onto your toes. Keep the heel heavy into the ground. This is activating the muscles above the knees, so we're protecting the knees here. Very good. Now swivel yourself so that you're turning sideways. Your back foot is directly forward. Your front foot is facing towards your wall. Arm is stretching up. And then slide your fingertips down the wall and just drop your hands onto your shin or maybe onto your thigh. And turn the chest. You might have your head against the wall. Turn your chest. Take your top fingers. If you can, reach your fingers to the wall. So we're in Trikonasana, triangle pose here. And you want to push down and out with your back foot. And maybe slide that top hand slightly back along the wall to create a wonderful stretch all the way up the side of your body. And we can look down and then forward and up. Now we are making sure we don't have compression in our lower back. So any of you who feel tightness in the lower back, roll your back hip slightly forward, or like a train wheel, rolling it slightly forward. So just be mindful to keep the sacrum, the back of your pelvis, nice and kind of flat. You don't want to squeeze it too much. So Trikonasana, really nice to get a twist through the back and start to lengthen into those legs. Now bend into your front knee like so and slowly push the floor away as you come up. Come back to your tabletop. Lengthen out the spine again, shoulders rolling away from your ears, and just see if you can lift those sit bones a tiny bit more. So we're trying to create a lovely flat back and straightish legs. We want to keep pushing down and out with our feet. This helps to lift through the adductors, the inner thigh muscles that go right into the pelvic floor. Take some smooth breaths and just notice how long you can make your exhalation. See if you can create the slight constriction on the back of the throat by giving yourself that kitten neck. Imagine a mother cat is picked you up by the scruff of the neck. Very good. And taking this on the other side. So taking your left foot forward this time, starting off with our calf stretch, so hands are flat into the wall. You're pushing the heel down towards the ground. You're pushing the wall hard away from you. So we're actually looking to contract these pectoral muscles before we stretch them. We're looking to make sure that the arms are activated, all the tummy muscles are drawing in. You might need to draw up a little bit through the pelvic floor. And we are pushing the heel down, getting that nice deep stretch right into the calf there. Keep dropping shoulders away from ears, because shoulders tend to have the naughty habit of squeezing upwards towards your ears. So keep drawing them down. I like to imagine there are weights at the base of the shoulder blades, just constantly pulling those shoulders down. Good. All right, and then let's just turn that into the stretch on the front of the leg. So come up onto your back toes and start to draw the front knee into the wall as you press the heel back. So now we're looking at the stretch here in the quads, into those hip flexors, and you might take the right hand up towards the ceiling here. So I'm sorry, do the side that you haven't done already. I think I've just mucked you up by doing the same side myself twice. So do the side that you haven't done yet. Alrighty. So we want to potentially lift the fingertips up as we press the heel back, letting that stretch come right through the front line of the body. And then from here, coming to triangle pose. So take your back foot, straighten the leg, turn the leg. So now we are pushing down through the outside edge of the foot. And then from here, your back hip pulls back out away from the wall. Both legs stay straight. Slide the hand on the wall down towards the shin or the thigh. Top arm up towards the ceiling. So I'm going to turn my back to you so you can see my back here. Top fingers onto the wall, if we can, and maybe even inching around towards our back. So we create a bit of a twist through the upper back. And in Trikonasana, we're trying to take the breath all the way around the back of the body here. And if we need to, we roll the hips forward so we create a flatness through the sacrum. And just try to mobilize your head a few times, looking down and then looking up. So you are rotating the head around almost the stem of the neck. Beautiful. Another breath here. And then bending into the front knee and sliding your way up and just turning yourself around to do the getting tall against the wall. So making sure you've got a bit of wall here. I've got this angel kind of glow beside me. If I stand in the middle, I've got this angel glow around me. The skylight, the light is all coming through. Now take your feet to their hip width apart, hip bones through knees, through middle toes, and let's see if we can stay in this good alignment for the rest of the day. So imprinting this into your brain now as you push your body against the wall, and we'll see if we can stay like this for the rest of the day. So we have our heels about an inch or two away from the wall. Now stretch your toes out so you have a lovely wide base. You want to have nice wide hobbit-like feet. Stretch those toes out, press down and out with your feet so we activate the adductor muscles, the abductor muscles, the outer thigh muscles, but we do have a little lifting sensation through those adductor inner thigh muscles. Imagine your tail is being pulled through the wall, so push your bottom into the wall. So there's a softness here through the hip flexors. We don't want those hip flexors to be hard. When they're hard, it means that the pelvis is being pushed forward like so. And we're using our pelvis as a shelf. So we want to make sure that the behind is behind us. We are soft through those soft muscles. Now, lean into the wall with your upper back and push an imaginary ball away from you as you go hard. So breathe out and go as you push the ball away. Turn the palms and drop your hands against the wall. And then just give your shoulders a roll, a lift and a roll down, and stretch your fingertips down. Imagine you've got an orange between your shoulders and you're kind of squashing the orange into the wall. And then push your arms back. So you want to have quite a good bit of pressure through the arms. Now take the ridge of your head and press it into the wall. If you find the head is just too far away, what you might need to do is grab a folded towel or a blanket and just place it behind your head so the head's got something to push into. So we push back and then up with the head. So we're sliding and stretching the neck here. And we push down and out with our feet. Make sure the knees don't lock, really important. We press back with our bum so the tail is being pulled back. We press back firmly through the forearms and the back of the hands and the shoulders. And we squash the orange, but don't let your ribs pop out. Keep the ribs dropping downwards. Don't let the pelvis pop out. Press back and up with the head. Keep breathing underneath the armpits here into those intercostal muscles. Press down and out with the feet. Back with the bum. Back between the shoulders. Back with the arms. Back and up with the head. Just another couple of breaths where we're pushing the whole body back, down, up. Whew. Very good. Soften the body. Come away from the wall. Roll the shoulders. Drop the head. Give it a roll. Oh, that feels so good. Now take the head and place it bang on top of your neck and then just walk your way back onto your mat and stand for a moment in your Tadasana, your mountain pose, and just feel now when you're in this position how your corsatory muscles are naturally switched on. So we want this to be our go-to alignment. Of course, we're always going to be changing our posture as we move through the day, but if we are standing, we want to see if we can have the body feeling at ease when we do stand, and all the weight of the skeleton dropping down into the earth. So soften the knees again. As you breathe in, take the arms out and up slowly. So a Tai Chi kind of movement. Exhaling, coming down again. So inhale, push down and out with your feet. So we've got legs that feel alive as we make this movement. And down. And last one, up. This time as you come down, take the hands just above the knees on the sides and then come into your tabletop position. Chin drawing in, jaw is released, back of the neck is long, drawing in through the base of the rib cage, activation through the back muscles, lifting those sitting bones, lots going on. Keep breathing. Good. And on your next exhalation, fold yourself forward. Bend the knees as much as you need to. Fold yourself forward. Let the head hang. Maybe give your head a little shake from side to side. Very nice. Stretch out your fingertips, place your hands on the ground, and then walk your feet back into downward facing dog. We want to roll the shoulders away from our ears, so we have lots of space. We can still shake the head from side to side. And just like against the wall, press those heels down one at a time. Imagine someone's got your tail and they're pulling it back and up. So we create a long spine before we worry about taking the heels down to the ground. If you need to stay with your knees bent in order to create a long spine, please do so. Oh, stretching for the morning, drop the knees down towards the ground and taking that right foot forward. So we're coming into a lunge here, making sure that the front knee is stacking on top of the ankle for this. And we're in neutral pelvis here with the pelvis on top of the back knee. Now just start to mobilize the pelvis. Tuck initially, tuck your tail under so we stretch those quads and then release. And then tuck again and hold that posterior rotation. Take the hand on the outside of your knee, lift right up, so we're stretching up through that left side and tilt over slightly. So now we're creating a stretch right up from your hips, right up the side of the body, and we're breathing as if we are fanning those ribs, really using the whole capacity of that left lung. Wonderful. And then just drawing ourselves down, let the pelvis go back into neutral. Inch your front toes forward. I'm just going to come back a bit so you can see my feet. Inch your front toes forward, and then just let this be quite a mobile movement. We're drawing back, and then we're drawing forward. And you might need to take a blanket underneath your knee if any knees are feeling a bit grotty. So use your hand either on top of your right thigh to stabilize, or maybe if you've got a wall nearby, you can hold onto the wall or a sofa. And we're just starting to get a little bit of a stretch into the groin, into the quads. Beautiful. Coming forward this time, see if you can lift your arms slightly up, drop the shoulder. And we want to press the back foot into the ground. So the more pressure you put onto the back foot, the more stretch you're going to get into those quads. Very nice. Come back slightly and then take the hand on the outside of the knee and onto the sacrum to give yourself an upper back twist, rinsing out the thoracic spine, the upper back, mid back. Beautiful. And then coming down, we're taking our hands onto the ground if possible, otherwise onto the wall, onto the sofa, as we pull our toes back towards us. So I'm going to turn sideways so you can see sitting bones are lifting, toes are active, leg is straight. See if you can rub the hamstrings. So we know that unfortunately when we have tight calves and tight hamstrings, the tightness pulls the pelvis under. So you might end up being like this. Now, I would rather you were tall like so, keeping the torso straight and up high, but still imagining those sitting bones being pulled behind you, than rounded and all the way forward, because we're not getting a stretch on our hamstrings if we're like that. So making sure that those sitting bones are lifted, so no matter where you are, and if you are coming forward, it's a pivoting from those hip joints. Can you see here? I'm pivoting forward as I come down. So it's not a rounding through the lower back. Good. Take hands down onto the ground, knees together, drop the hips one side and then the other. So we're getting a deep stretch right into that IT band down the side. This is a lovely one for runners. Ruth, well done. I saw that you did your big run into Alice Holt. So this kind of stretch after you've been running is magnificent. Just to release the pelvis. Good. Let's do that on the other side. So taking your left foot forward, starting off in that proposal position. I'm going to grab another drink. So starting off in the proposal, making sure that the knee is on top of the ankle here. Pubic bone forward, tailbone tucking. Sorry, hang on. No, that's right. I'm getting confused because I'm trying to do the opposite of you. There we go. And then hand on the outside of the knee, stretching up and over to create that long stretch all the way from the knee, right up the side of the body here. And then releasing. Beautiful. Inching those toes forward and then just doing that dynamic movement again. So we're coming back and forward, lengthening and then releasing. lengthening forward, and then releasing. Very nice. Next time you come forward, staying forward, lifting the arm up, getting that lovely full body stretch as you press down through your back foot, creating a bit more stretch the harder you push through the back foot. And then pulling the femurs back towards each other. It's like closing scissors. And then coming into your upper back twist. Hand on the sacrum, other hand on the outside of the knee. Beautiful. Lift up through the crown of the head and either holding onto a wall or the ground here to come into your calf and hamstring stretch. Shoulders away from ears. See if you can draw your chin back slightly so you get that kitten neck. And again, we're hinging from the hip joints here as opposed to lower back. So this is just like anything. Anytime we're coming forward, if we stay in your stretch, if we are coming forward to pick something up, we want to make sure that we are using buttocks, we're using that lift through the sit bones, we're not rounding to pick up. These poor little muscles around the lower spine are simply not designed to take lots of weight. So instead, we want to make sure we do that using these big muscle groups. And absolutely, when we're coming forward, rotating from the hip joint. Very good. And from here, just sliding your way back up again, hands onto the ground again, knees together, drop the pelvis back, and then start to circle the hips around. So we take little circles to start off with, and then we make the circles that bit bigger, and allow your elbows to be relaxed and allow your shoulders to be relaxed, so we create a lovely kind of massaging effect through the whole of the body. One direction and then the other. Nice massaging effect. So keep going with that, circling the pelvis around one direction and then the other, circling. Good. And then take the elbows close to the body. Drop yourself down onto the ground like a caterpillar. Tops of the feet pressing into the ground. And I turn myself around again so you can see the side body. Hands directly underneath the shoulders. Elbows squeezing in. Inflating the lungs with the breath. As you breathe in, let the chest just lift up. And then as you exhale, deflating down. Press the tops of the feet into the ground so the legs become active when you do this. But you don't actually squeeze your butt muscles. They stay relatively passive. It's the knees almost lifting off the ground, the deep breath, filling those lungs, just like a hot air balloon. Imagine a hot air balloon with air being pumped into it, lifting slightly off the ground and then deflating back down again. So we are working on the little muscles that work around the spine to stabilize it, part of your core system. Good, and one more. That's the way. Now roll your shoulders back and stretch your fingertips back towards your toes. So you're quite active here through your fingertips. And as you inhale this time, also pull your fingertips back and slightly up. So we're inflating the lungs and adding a little bit of lift through the hands and then slowly coming down. If that hurts through your lower back, we just stay lower, yeah? So we still get the extension, we just don't put in the lift so much as well. So again, roll the shoulders back. Inhaling, activating the back line of the body. Hold here for a moment, release down. Now we're going to try adding the legs as well. So roll the shoulders back. Inhale, stretch fingertips back. Now take the toes off the ground as well. Pull toes and fingertips back and slightly up. Crown of the head is rocketing forward. Hold the contraction through the whole back line of the body. Hold it here. Deep breath in. And then go, exhale. Turn the head to one side and rock the pelvis from side to side. Just get a nice release through the lower back, through the hips. Let the whole body become like a jellyfish, so relaxed. Very nice. Now taking the hands just underneath the forehead, and you can tuck the chin in. I'm going to look up, but I want you to tuck your chin in and just rest your forehead onto the back of your hands. So starting off with your toes together and your heels out. So we have a real spreading sensation through the back of the pelvis here. And with your chin tucked in, you have a nice long cervical neck as well. The back of your neck is stretching. Now, we want to draw up through the pelvic floor, but focus on the front of the pelvic floor, so around the urethra. So as you exhale, see if you can squeeze the urethra as if you're stopping yourself weeing, but then also lift upwards. So as if you have a hose pipe and you're stopping the hose pipe, and then you're pulling the hose pipe upwards. So as you pull the hose pipe upwards, hopefully you'll feel a little lift of your tummy button coming up off the ground as well. So that means that we're activating through the pelvic floor and then up into those deep core muscles, and then release it down. So sometimes I find it's helpful to do a visualization, and I say, imagine you have testicles and you're drawing your testicles up towards some spectacles that you happen to have on your nose right now, and then release back down again. So we want to try to not use our bum muscles, the glutes, and we want to notice whether the inner thigh muscles also activate when we're doing this. So we're trying to focus just on these very small muscles, the sphincter muscles around the urethra, and then all the striatum muscles around the full, the lift dome right up towards the bladder, and then down again. In and up, and release. Just do a couple more of these. Try to do it on an exhale, drawing in and up, and release, and again. Very good. Okay, now just taking your right foot up towards the ceiling, chin still tucking in, shoulders are relaxed, tummy button comes off the ground now towards your spine. So you're working your corsatory muscles. Now squeeze that right glute until your knee comes just off the ground. The knee stays off the ground here just a little bit. Keep tummy button towards your spine, and then just start to squeeze, isolating that right glute. The front of your hip will be on the ground. If it's a bit uncomfortable, you could slide a blanket underneath your pelvis. So we're just squeezing that right glute. The heel is pushing up towards the ceiling, toes are pushing down towards the ground. So nice active feet. Whoo! Feeling this in the glutes, dropping that foot, and then just rocking the pelvis from side to side. We'll do that on the other side. Lifting up your left heel, pushing the heel towards the ceiling, toes are down. Tummy button towards the spine to set, and then squeeze that left glute, just the left glute, until the knee comes off the ground, and do some little pulses here, just working on the left. Now notice, is one glute active, whereas the other one doesn't want to party? It's really interesting when you start to notice asymmetry through the pelvis. Or do you find that actually the only way you can get your knee off the ground is to contract the front of your leg, the quads? So it's really interesting, really telling. And it just gives us information, doesn't it? We don't go, oh my God, I'm so terrible, I can't do my right bum muscle. We're just like, how interesting. I wonder if that's got to do with why I've got a knee problem on that side, and that kind of thing. So squeezing here, and then releasing. Give your pelvis another wriggle from side to side. Woo, wonderful. And then we're just going to roll straight onto our backs. Now, please, if you find that your chin is lifting up, just take a little bit of height, a blanket or a pillow underneath the ridge of your head, and hopefully you've got a strap nearby. If you haven't got a strap, don't worry, we can do some of the stuff without a strap. But come onto your back, like so. Hopefully you can all see me. Have your strap nearby, we'll use that in a second. So to start off with, we're just going to work back into the pelvic floor and deep core activation, remembering we always want to activate on the exhale, activation on the exhale. So as you exhale, I'm going to get you to slightly tilt the pelvis, flatten the lower belly into the ground, and we tuck the tail under. And then as we inhale, I'm going to get you to rock the other way so the lower back comes off the ground. So starting small, just little movements to massage into the lower back and into the sacrum. And this can feel really nice at the end of the day, just doing some of this massaging. Also at the beginning of the day, when you're all stiff, when you get out of bed, just doing this little movement, using the breath, exhaling. Now let's activate through the heels and see if we can make the movement a little bit bigger. So as we exhale, we push the feet into the ground and we start to peel the pelvis off the ground, and then inhale, let it all go back down onto the ground. Push the heels into the ground, activate up, glutes are very active here, and then rolling back down again, massaging all the way down the spine. Ah, good. Up and down. Now this time, come up a little bit further. So we are pushing further into the ground with our heels, and both bum muscles are really switched on. Shoulders can roll slightly together, back of the hands onto the ground, as we push the feet into the ground and get a little bit more lift, a bit more activation through those gluteal muscles. Knees feel as if they're shooting forward. So imagine your knees are just sliding forward. Hold here for a moment, and one more moment, and then slowly roll your shoulders out and allow the lower back to roll back down onto the ground, one vertebra at a time. So it's like a lovely slow massage. Just let the back settle for a moment here. Wonderful. So taking the feet a little bit wider now on your mat, about a tiny bit wider than hip width apart. So hands down on the ground. We're pushing the floor away with our heels. We're drawing up as we exhale. Now we're squeezing knees and thighs together. So we're pulsing. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Then release the knees and roll down, massaging the lower back. So you push the floor away as you come up. You squeeze, you squeeze, you squeeze. You release the knees and you roll back down again. So I'm just going to do it here so you can see my knees and how far apart they are. Push the floor away, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze the knees, release the knees, roll back down again. So make sure you're doing it with the breath, exhaling to come up, carry on the exhale to squeeze, inhaling, releasing down, soften the buttocks, soften the pelvic floor. As we come up on an exhale, we're actually working very deep into the pelvic bowl here. And we're also working on the stabilizing muscles around the pelvis. Exhaling up and inhaling down. Now let's try and do the same kind of movement, but starting with our toes together and knees together. And as we come up, we're going to let the knees come out to the side. So we're exhaling, we're pushing the pelvis up and the knees come out. So we're stretching the inner thigh muscles. We're working now onto gluteus medius, into those glutes right at the top. Knees come together, roll back down, let the bum just relax. So pushing up and out, and then together and down. Exhaling, opening the knees, inhaling, rolling back down. This is also working on the stabilizing muscles deep into the pelvis. Good, just a couple more of these. This often gives me cramp. And up, and rolling back down. Draw your knees in towards your chest. Have your knees quite wide, hands on top of knees. Just roll those ankles around for a moment, one direction and then the other. And just like we're mobilizing through the ankle joints, now we're going to mobilize through these hip joints. So take your knees and just roll your femurs around into the pelvis. Just notice how nice that feels on the lower back. Big circles, one direction and then the other. Great. Now hold your shins so that the calves are parallel to the ground and the knees are directly on top of your hips. So literally just here, you should be able to feel all your core muscles having to hold you. So it's quite easy to have to flare your chest up. I want you to drop the base of the ribcage down. Try to still keep a tiny, tiny gap between your lower back and the ground. So you're not absolutely imprinted. There's a tiny gap, which is going to make you have to work pretty hard through those core muscles. We also have to do slight drawing up through the pelvic floor in order to hold this here. Take the hands on the outside of the knees. We're going to work a bit more into stabilizing the pelvis. Hands on the outside of the knees. Press out with your knees and in with your hands. You'll feel those muscles working again in your arms. Slight drawing up to the pelvic floor. Slight drawing in of all the corsatory muscles. And let your neck be loose. Let your jaw be loose. Now take your hands into fists, like so, and take the back of your fists onto the inside of your knees. So your fingernails are facing each other, shoulders away from ears. Start to push your knees in as you press the arms out. You press the hands out. So now we're working on the inner thighs again, pelvic floor drawing in, base of the ribcage drawing down, little puppy breaths out. And then place the hands on top of your knees, so where your thighs are here. And start to pull those toes back, so active through the feet. As we start to push our hands into our knees and our thighs into our hands, pelvic floor drawing in and up, right up through the cervix towards your tummy button drawing in and up underneath the rib cage. Good. Little puffy breath out. And then take your knees into your chest. Give yourself a rock from side to side, massaging out through the lower back. Smooth breath. Good. Let's just stretch the whole front line of the body. So keep your left knee in, stretch your right toes and your right hand as far away from each other as possible. So keep stretching. Oh, feels so nice, doesn't it, to lengthen the body. Nice smooth breath here. Very good. That's the way. And then up and over to the other side. Stretching the whole front line of the body. Lengthening the lower back. Very good. We're just going to do some toe taps here. So back to our starting position. Back to having all of the corsetry switching on. Back to that slight lift up through the pelvic floor. Now start with the hands down on the ground. Drop down through one toe, bring it up. And then the other toe and bring it up. So we're doing this on an exhale. The exhale pulls the toe up, drop on an inhale. Exhale up, drop on an inhale. And good. If you are finding the lower back is grouchy, I want you to just bring your knees slightly closer into the chest and don't take your toes all the way down to the ground, just little smaller taps like so. If you're finding this is easy peasy, by all means, try both toes coming up. Exhaling as you do so, pelvic floor lifting as well. So really important that the exhale comes from the pelvic floor upwards. And if you go, oh, lower back twingy, then that means body's had enough. So we're just drawing the knees into the chest for the moment. Let's all do that now. Let's just roll those knees back into the chest, but a good one to come back to another time. Press those heels away from you. Stretch the back of the legs. Push the pelvis down into the ground. Wonderful. Stretch through the hamstrings here. Actually, we're going to come back to our straps at the end. So don't worry about your straps right now. We'll just leave them to the side. We'll keep this a bit more dynamic. So rubbing the back of your legs instead, and then turn the toes out, heels together, rubbing the outside of your legs to get into that nervy stretch right down the IT band. And then take your feet together again, but split your legs apart. If that's too much, you just bend your knees, yeah? So it doesn't matter if you're here or here. If we're here, we're pushing the heels away from us, making this a very dynamic movement through pulling our toes back, pushing the heels away. Rub the inside of your legs, those adductor muscles that we have been squeezing. We want to release them now. And just notice as you rub the inside of your legs, are there points that are really tender? Have you got any knots through those adductors? So if we do, once again, it's just, how interesting. I wonder if this is affecting tension patterns in my pelvic floor. Very likely. So we want to, yes, strengthen, but also lengthen these muscles. Now take the hands on the outside of the knees. Once again, they can be bent, absolutely fine. As we exhale, pelvic floor is drawing inwards. So we're closing that rosebud, yeah, drawing inwards. We exhale again as we draw up through the lift shaft, right up through the cervix towards our tummy button coming up underneath the rib cage, legs floating together. Inhaling to press up through the heels, exhaling right into the center. That's it. Opening, whoo, closing. Maybe try breathing out through a straw. So pursing the lips, and as you breathe out, letting that long stream of breath leave the body. Wonderful. Make sure that you're working to a comfortable level. So if you need to support the legs more with your hands, just do so. Yeah, no one is giving you any gold stars if you're doing this without your hands. So make sure that you are, yes, working to your edge, but not working beyond at the moment. That's the way. Now, next time you come with your legs apart, drop your knees down towards your armpits, stretching into those inner thigh muscles. So grabbing hold of your shins, maybe even your ankles, or if you are able to bend your knees enough, you might even be able to hook your fingertips onto the arches of your feet. And the idea here is to try and create as much contact with the ground as possible. So have the whole of your back pressing into the ground. See if you can flex your feet. And then I really like to just kind of pull on one foot and then the other, as if you're pulling on parachute strings. It's just nice to massage across the spine. So if you're able to do that, have a little go massaging the spine. Make sure your head's not dropping back. So if it's like this, make sure you do have a blanket, a folded blanket underneath your head. Lovely big massage. And then bring those knees back together again for a twist, arms out to the side. Drop the knees over to one side, creating a lovely twist through the back. And just settle here for a moment. Let the eyes settle. Let the little muscles around your eyes settle. Unwind the jaw as you exhale. Just feel a nice softness through the belly, through the lower back. Good. Now remember, and when we come up and over to the other side, we exhale. We always protect the lower back. So as we exhale, the tummy button comes towards the spine, and then up and over to the other side. Dropping those knees down, turning the head to the other side, so we create a nice corkscrew action through the spine. Now, when we come up onto hands and knees again, we're either going to keep rolling over to the side and then coming up onto hands and knees, or if you're starting to feel a bit sleepy, maybe rocking and rolling up. So I'm going to rock and roll up. So taking myself into a little ball here, tucking the chin in, and that rocking and rolling action just massages the spine and wakes up the central nervous system again. That's the way, coming all the way up and then crossing the ankles back onto hands and knees. I'm going to grab another sip. It's very noisy, of water. Good. Hands and knees. So let's put that all together. We've just done some strengthening. We've worked into the extensor muscles of the back. We've switched on our glutes. Let's see if we can put it all together into a balance with some strengthening as well. So coming onto hands and knees, and we want to have the knees together. We want to have a rod from the crown of the head all the way through the spine and out through the tail. So make sure that corsetory muscles are all switched on here. Tummy button towards your spine. A slight pushing up between your shoulders, a very gentle pushing up. So you're not arched, but you're not collapsed through your shoulders either. All right. Make sure your arms are not hyperflexed. I know, no, most of you guys are okay actually, but making sure the eyes of the elbows are slightly facing each other, and you are working here in your biceps and triceps. Okay, so we want to draw tummy button in. Now take your left foot out behind you, press out through the heel, and then squeeze your left glute. So that's active here. Now take your right hand out in front of you, thumb up, little finger down. So we're in that pointed dog, and we're nice and steady. We're looking down at the ground. Keep breathing. If you feel you're wobbling here, I want you to stay here and just focus on trying to make yourself as still as possible. If you're finding this okay, but easy, we're going to make it harder by bending knee, bending elbow, and then once again, we're squeezing those glutes. We are stretching those glutes, little pulses up towards the ceiling. Nasty, nasty, nasty work. Good. Stretch out again, drop down. Very good. Now roll your pelvis around, circling that tail. Yahoo! Well done, me. That's what your bottom is saying. Roll the shoulders. I can imagine your family is running in. What are you doing, Mum? And then doing that on the other side. So knees together, sticking your right foot out behind you. Squeeze the right glute as you take that left hand out, looking at the ground. Keep tummy button coming into spine. Smooth breath. If you've got it, if you're steady, we're bending, we're making it harder, and we're doing little pulses. Tummy button to spine. Remember, we need to keep that contraction in order to not feel it in the lower back. And if we haven't been doing yoga very much recently and we need to just stay on our pointed dog, then please stay there. Drop the hands down, and again, circling the pelvis around. Nice big circles. Now we're going to release those bum muscles. So we want to take the right knee in front of the left knee and stick your toes out to the side. So I'm going to turn around to the front so you can see me here. Hang on, I'm looking straight into that light. So I'm going to come here. So we've got the right knee in front of the left knee, and you need to kind of slide it in front, slide it on, and then you take your toes out to the side. So they're like cow ears, yeah, like so. Take your weight into your fingers still. Now, we won't come all the way back into cow because it's a bit brutal on the hips, but I want you to drop your weight back until you feel a stretch into your glutes. Your glutes have been doing lots of squeezing. Now we need to stretch them. So drop back until you feel your glutes. Tell me if any of you find this too much on your knees. So come off and give you an alternative if you do. So come off mute and just let me know if this is too much. So it's a little bit like pigeon pose in the stretch we're feeling right into our gluteal muscles. We need to lift those glutes as we take the weight back. Shoulders away from ears. Now we're going to add a little bit of a pelvic floor tone into this. So keep your pelvic floor muscles relaxed for the moment. And then I'm going to get you to rock forward. And as you rock forward, take the weight into your right knee, squeeze your left knee into the back of your right knee, and then lift up through the urethra again. So it's like you're really stopping yourself weeing. So we create that squeeze, and then release back again. Release your pelvic floor as you drop into your glute stretch. Yeah, so we'll do that one more time. We exhale forward, weights in the right knee, squeeze the left knee in, lift up through the pelvic floor, and then dropping back and let your hips roll back as you release the pelvic floor. You soften. Very nice. Swap sides. So take your left knee in front this time. Take your cow ears, your feet as far apart as possible. So I'm going to turn around so you can see me here. I know that sometimes brain and feet don't connect, and so this can be, especially early in the morning, don't know how many coffees you guys have had, but this can be quite a challenge. And then slowly dropping back into the stretch. And talking about caffeine, unfortunately, because it's such an irritant on the detrusor muscles of the bladder, if you are experiencing any leaking, and once you come into your 40s and 50s, it's game over as far as drinking as much coffee as you want to, because the estrogen around both the bladder and also the pelvic floor muscles, it reduces, the elasticity of the muscle fibers reduced, and you get a lot more agitation around the bladder so much more easily. So the foods we eat and what we drink, the tea and coffee we drink, can be way more agitating. And since we do not have the same sphincter control, you are much more likely to get leaking. So unfortunately, it means that decaf coffee might have to become part of your repertoire. And I can hear even through the muted speakers, no! And then slowly coming forward. So now we're taking the weight into our left knee, squeezing that right knee into the back of the left knee and lifting up through the urethra, stopping yourself weighing, that kind of action, and then dropping back down again, releasing the pelvic floor as we get one more stretch into those glutes. So we're doing a fair bit of strengthening through the pelvic floor muscles today. And then one more time, coming forward, pressure in the left knee, squeeze the right knee, lifting upwards, 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 and releasing down, and consciously releasing. We're just stretching deep, deep into the obturator interna. So we're just right deep into the pelvic floor here, which is wonderful. Pelvic bowl, sorry. And then coming back up again. Let's just take those knees as wide as we can, slide them apart like a frog, toes towards each other, and drop down with the pelvis down towards the heels, stretching, shoulders away from ears. Let everything release, let everything be stretched. So we lengthen the inside of the legs as we've lengthened the back of the body as well. Smooth breath, shoulders relaxed. Good. Alrighty, I think we're going to come up now. So walk your fingers back, slide back onto toes, walk your feet a little bit wider. If you happen to have a blanket close by, brilliant. I don't, so I'm going to just roll the back of my mat up so I can slide the mat underneath my heels here. Most of us are quite tight in the Achilles and we can't put the feet flat on the ground. So it's helpful to have a blanket or a rolled up mat just underneath the heels here. We want to have our sitting bones lifted still, so make sure you're not rounding through the lower back. If you can, elbows into the inside of your knees. If we're coming up higher, just take the forearms into the inside of your knees here. So we're getting a nice deep stretch into those inner thigh muscles. They lengthen right into the pelvic floor, leaning slightly forward so the weight of the organs is on the pubic bone and lower belly. And then pressing the floor away as we exhale, slowly coming up. Holy moly, stretch the fingertips right up and then release the pelvic floor. Good, unrolling the mat. Okay, so let's just shake out those legs and do a little bit more as we stand up before we have our final rest. So taking the crown of the head right up towards the ceiling, coming back into your Tadasana, your mountain pose, making sure the base of the shoulder blades are nice and heavy down your back. Now take all of your weight into your right leg and consciously squeeze thigh muscles into thigh bone. And then take your left toes behind you. Hopefully, because we've been switching on those bum muscles, when you did that, you went, oh, I felt that at the top of my bum. So that's your gluteus medius. So keep the muscles above your knee, squeezing in. Open up your crocodile jaws, rib cage dropping down. And then on an exhalation, draw the knee up and close your crocodile jaws together, snap. Inhaling and exhaling. Keep the eyes focused on a point on the floor in front of you, a couple of meters in front of you. Keep the muscles around your eyes very soft so that the eye gaze becomes soft. Keep the long exhalation going. So we're telling our brain that we are safe, even though our body is being stressed. So even when the brain is being told that things are a bit dangerous, we're stressing the body. We're also, this is called the gates area of pain, we're also telling the brain with our breath that we are calm and we are safe to be in that parasympathetic nervous system. Good, last one. Good. Come on to the left leg and give your right leg that little Elvis twist to release right deep into those rotator muscles around the hip joint. Very nice. And then doing that on the other side. Left leg strong. Squeeze those thigh muscles. We're really doing a lot of weight bearing as well. So it's fantastic for keeping our hip joints and our thigh bones nice and strong as we age. Lengthening through those fingertips. Exhaling to close those crocodile jaws. Use your breath as your anchor. It just feels as if the arms and legs are floating around this wonderful pilot light, the stillness of your breath and of your eye gaze. You're going to feel so good for the rest of the day. Your body has been squeezed and stretched. And last one, slowly come in, hold it here, and drop down and do your little Elvis releasing twist, massaging out here. Oh, look, I've got a glow behind me. It looks like I'm on stage. Da, 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 da. Okay, let's do a little bit of squatting. I'll do glow squats. Okay, so knees stay on top of ankles. Tail is being lifted behind us. Arms out in front to counterbalance. Draw the shoulders back into the sockets. As we come down, stretch those fingers out and up to counterbalance. Weight is in the heels, base of the ribcage coming in, corsetry is switched on. So we exhale, we push the floor away with the heels, and then just drop the pelvic floor for a couple of times so we can feel that wonderful flow, that movement through the pelvic floor. Relax the pelvic floor as you come, once you're up, exhaling up, relax the pelvic floor. Now let's do this a bit more dynamically. Up, down. Push the floor away with those heels. Just remember that music that normally play in class, and so you're almost dancing with this wonderful dynamic movement. Just know how much good you are doing with your glutes, activating. Wonderful. Did you know that glute and thigh strength, they have directly correlated that to brain health? So we want to stave off that dementia. We need to make sure that we keep doing our squats. And again, big breath out. 2 more. And last one. And arms down. Roll those shoulders and give your legs a little shake. Very nice. Let's just squeeze and stretch those glutes now. So if you've got a wall, you can hold on to the wall. Otherwise, we'll do it as a balance. So I'm going to do the first one with the wall here. We're taking the left ankle on top of right knee. We're bending the left knee out to the side. And we're keeping that right knee on top of the right ankle. So the standing leg, we're keeping the ankle. We're not dropping forward. Sitting bones are lifted. So as we drop down, we want to get that stretch. A little bit like when we did the cow ears, right into those glutes there. And maybe taking hands together. If your hands are together, draw your shoulders together. So once again, you're squeezing the orange just gently between your shoulder blades. Chin tucking in, hip and neck. Eye gaze is soft. Press the hands together. And then slowly lifting up. Let's do that on the other side. So making sure that the hip joint is soft here. Ankle on top of knee. The more we press our hands together, the easier the balance is. And keep the chest lifted, so don't roll forward. Make sure you're not tucking the tail. Keep lifting those sitting bones behind you. Someone's behind you with your tail and they're pulling it. They keep pulling it. They won't go away. They keep pulling your tail back. And your knee drops out to the side. But the breath is smooth. Very nice. And slowly coming up, back into your Tadasana pose. And finally with tree. We'll just finish off with a bit of tree to get energy convulsing through the whole body. So taking all of your weight back into that right leg. Take the hands together, toes on the ground, knee out to the side. If that's comfortable for you, you can always lift your foot so it's just underneath your knee, just not on your knee. And maybe even taking the foot right up into the groin, if that feels what you want to do today. And if we're here, we push the foot and the thigh as hard together as possible. The crown of the head has that string from it lifting you up. Shoulder blades are heavy. Feet rooted down into the ground. Connect again with that ocean-like breath. And on that next wave up with your breath, feel the breath lifting right up through your trunk, right up into your branches, and lift your branches upwards. This time, hook your thumbs together and stretch your fingertips out. So elbows stay a little bit soft, but keep stretching the arms upwards as you root your foot deeper, deeper down into the earth. Crown of the head has been pulled, and maybe even take the eye gaze slightly upwards. Keep visualizing the vertebra of the spine, drawing further and further apart. Smooth breath. Anchoring breath. Slowly take the arms out to the side. Draw the knee towards the center. Stick your foot out towards me. Nice and relaxed. And then drop the foot down. Wonderful. And then taking the hands together again. Doing the same thing on the other side. Toes down on the ground, knee out. Maybe taking the foot up. Maybe taking the foot right up into the groin. So just noticing where you can hold this balance comfortably. Wonderful. And then again, just establishing the ocean breath. Pushing down through that foot. And when you get that inner cue, just start to lift the energy through the foot, right up through your trunk, through the spine, right up into these branches, stretching fingertips upwards like leaves. Imagine the sun above you is just pulling you upwards, but Mother Earth has got you. You are grounded through that standing foot. Maybe taking the eye gaze up as well as you feel this beautiful energy flowing up as if you are a conduit of that energy, pulling right up through your body. right out through your fingertips, right out through the crown of your head. Keep pushing the foot into your thigh if you're here, keeping your thumbs pulling apart. And then taking the arms out to the side, knee into the center, slightly bending the standing leg. Stick the foot out, crown of the head is lifting, pause, and then come down. And just give your body a shake. Very nice. So I'm going to get you to fold yourself forward, sitting bones on the wall, fold yourself forward. Ah, very good. Walk those sitting bones slightly further up the wall. If we've got any lower back issues here, we keep the spine slightly straight. So we just have the hands on the shins in order to keep a little bit of extension, a tiny extension through the back. If we're comfortable here though, you can bend the knees as much as you want to and just fold yourself forward so the arms and the head traction the upper back, and you get a nice stretch through the neck as well. I like to rock from side to side here, so just give yourself a few moments to release in this forward fold. Ah, long exhalation. Ah. Whew. That's it. Very good. Now slowly take yourself down onto the ground, hip against the wall. And if you've got your strap close by, wonderful. If you've got a blanket close by, wonderful. So roll yourself onto your back, legs up the wall. So if you're outside and you don't have a wall, use your strap. Just take your legs up and place the strap over your toes in order to hold you in this defruited cranny. If you are against the wall and you have a strap, then also take the strap around your feet. So we can just do a last little stretch out through the back of the legs. So before we flop against the wall, we're going to create that tabletop position, but this time we're upside down. Back is flat, shoulders away from ears, back of the pelvis pushing into the ground, heels pushing up and slightly out, so we still get that activation through the outside of the legs. Wonderful. Let the jaw be loose, give it a wriggle. Very good. So I think it was just Ruth who's outside. Ruth, if you haven't got a wall to put your legs against, I'm hoping you do, but if you haven't, then I'm inviting you just to have a play here with the strap, taking it apart, bending your knees, and then eventually come and just lie on your back with the knees slightly bent. And those of you who've got a wall, just let the feet flop onto the wall. Now let those feet flop out to the side. Palms are upwards. If you have a blanket nearby or a pillow, a really nice thing to do is just slide it underneath the pelvis. So all the weight of the pelvic organs are dropping away from the pelvic floor. And this is a nice way just to spend a few minutes releasing the body. Just as a bit of advice, if at the end of the day you are feeling heavy through the pelvic floor, if often mid-cycle, when we get a few days where everything feels a bit stretched and a bit heavier, then taking your legs up the wall or over the edge of a couch, cushion underneath your bottom, and then just doing some of your pelvic floor lifts, but in this slight inversion, can relieve that heaviness. So nice position for us to come into. I'm going to get you just to stay here for a few moments, a few minutes, sorry. Letting the upper back settle into the ground. Good, stay here. I'm just going to come up, stay here though. So feeling that wonderful weight of the legs dropping down into your pelvis. So it encourages the back of the pelvis to soften, to spread. Letting that weight melt the lower back. And then starting to consciously release all those little muscles around your spine that we have been contracting and really working. I want you to feel them now, just letting go. The spine is supported now by the ground. Feeling the upper back just melting into the ground, and any residual tension around the shoulders, just feel that now melting and melting away. A wonderful heaviness through the arms. Imagine that you have warm pebbles just sitting in the palms of your hands, so that even your fingers feel relaxed. And taking your attention into the head, trying to make your head as heavy as possible, and just allowing the ground to hold your head here. And as the head starts to relax, just feel those skull bones softening away from each other, and start to feel your brain just softening away from the edges of your skull. And just notice how this encourages the eyeballs to become heavier in the socket, and encourages all the little muscles around the eyes to soften. And allowing the mind to just drop backwards and drop backwards again. As if it's just walking down some stairs, downwards, to a place that is really comfortable and really safe. And just noticing the cheeks becoming softer and the lower jaw unwinding, and the tongue becoming that little bit heavier in your mouth. Noticing the rise and the fall of your belly. Allowing yourself to be completely still, completely motionless. Just being so relaxed that no movement occurs. And let there be no holding anywhere in the body. Just consciously noticing any parts of the body that are still holding, that are still clutching. And let your breath go into those areas and encourage those areas just to soften. Just be comforted that for these next moments, everything is okay. Nothing else matters right now. As you consciously relax, your body is deeply nourished. In these moments of rest, you integrate your practice and you heal at a deep cellular level. And just allowing your mind's eye to travel through your body, a journey of sensation, just allowing your breath and your mind to flow. You can imagine a light, like a golden light. I like to imagine it's like steel wool, a luminescent golden steel wool. And as it's flowing through the body, it's just kind of scrubbing any areas that need a bit of TLC. It's just kind of scrubbing there, just kind of mobilizing around the intestine, down around the pelvic bowl, into the lower back, down around the buttocks, down through the knees. If there's a bit of grottiness in the knees, just kind of cleaning into the joints, down into the feet, into any achiness and joints of the toes, and back up again, all the way up into the shoulders, just cleaning around those joints. Then back up around the back of the neck, front of the neck, and right up into the brain. And just imagine that this steel wool, this light, is just scrubbing, just cleaning, releasing any of those residual thought patterns that are not serving us. We all know they're there. They just pop up like popcorn. Pop, 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 always there. But just imagine now, you're just scrubbing now, scrubbing, cleansing. And then imagine clear water just flowing down from the scalp through the whole body, flushing and flushing and flushing, washing the whole body clean with your awareness. Now starting to fill up with fresh prana. So taking the attention to the tip of the nostrils, breathing in now, smooth, cool, invigorating breath. Oh, gone a bit over, sorry. Breathing deeply now to invigorate both the mind and the body. Start to wriggle into your fingers and toes. And sliding the feet down the wall, just rolling over to one side. Take a moment to slowly open the eyes. And just letting light draw in, just letting your senses wake up. Just noting what a beautiful day it is. Having a moment of gratitude for the fact that you're able to gift yourself this bit of time to fill up your tank. It's only when we do this, it's only when we feel like we ourselves are filled up that we can really truly give over to other people. So take the hands down on the ground and push yourself up, making it very fluid. Just enjoying the fluidity of this body of yours, this cloak that you are wearing. Well done for giving your body a bit of TLC this morning. Coming and sitting nice and tall. Tall spine. You have hydrated your spine. You have done some great stuff to keep this body strong and mobile, keeping those joints oiled as you go through this journey, looking after this vessel. And take the hands out, turn the palms to face the ceiling, take a deep breath in, invigorating breath in, and then just let it go. We'll just do one of those today. So take the hands into the heart center, acknowledging yourself. Well done, ladies, for moving into your stillness. Thank you so much for joining me. I really love having you here. I really do. Namaste. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you so much, ladies. That's wonderful.